Welcome back to Stay at Home Girlfriends. We are coming at you today with another amazing episode full of great questions that you've submitted. Cam, how are you feeling today?
Amazing.
Amazing. Do you want to elaborate?
It's been a wonderful day. I got a lot of work done. Taylor Swift has a new boyfriend. Very exciting times. I'm shipping it. I'm having some fun. We just had a great trip to the beach. Life's good.
Life is good. I am on my second coffee of the day, so life is great for me right now. I'm running on caffeine, some little Madeleine cakes that I just ate, which were delicious actually. If you're in America, try the Madeleines from Starbucks. Hashtag not sponsored.
Not yet.
But if you want to sponsor a Starbucks, feel free.
She's making every effort.
But shall we jump into them?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, starting with question 1. I caught my girlfriend masturbating. I feel betrayed. My girlfriend, 23 female, and I, 24 female, have moved in together for the first time. After dating exclusively for a year, we decided to move in and have been living together for almost 3 months now. We've both lived with people at university, so sharing space isn't new to us, and boundaries were made clear from day one. However, a few days ago, I walked in on my girlfriend in the shower by accident. It would have been fine, except she was busy getting off by herself. I apologised and left, closing the door behind me, but we haven't spoken about it since. I feel betrayed because I've always been respectful of her boundaries and low sex drive. I've never pressured her or made her feel bad about it. She rarely seems interested in sex, especially since moving in together. Why would she rather get herself off than get off with me? She's never complained about my performance, and we've always talked openly about likes and dislikes in the bedroom. It feels like she's cheated on me. What should I do? She cheated with the shower head.
Oh gosh. Well, listener, I just want to send you love. You guys seem cute, like cute little babies, and I'm going to say everything is okay. I do not think you have reason to be concerned. So like first and foremost, let's say masturbation can be for sexual pleasure, but it can also just be self-soothing behavior. It can be a quick dopamine release. It can relax your body, relax your muscles, take your mind off things. It is very normal. There's lots of reasons people masturbate, and it's not all just, I'm horny and I want sexual gratification. Sometimes I do just want to like rub one out and not have sex, because having sex is a whole production, right? Well, for some of us. But it is a whole thing, right? You get all sticky and you get all up in each other's business, and it's great.
I think especially with women loving women relationships, which is what you're in, sometimes it is a whole production, and it goes on for a long time a lot of the time. And like lately, not to make it too personal, but we've kind of been into quickies because we just don't have the time anymore to go for it fully. And personally in our relationship, bringing this back to us because it's what I know, I am not offended or upset if you need to get off without me. Sometimes you just do. Like you said, it can be a production to have sex. You might not have the time. You might be stressed. It might just be easier to just bash a quick one out than it is to have sex with your partner. As upset as you are about it and feeling betrayed, I would be inclined to try not to take it personally. I think the reason that you are is obviously because she has a low sex drive. Maybe you aren't getting your needs met, but that is a conversation to have with her if that is the problem. But I do think catching your partner masturbating shouldn't have to be a big deal. What do you think about this? Like, do you get offended if I do?
No, I mean, there is a spark of me that's like, well, why can't I do it for you? You know, a spark. So, listener, I see where you're coming from. Like, I get it. Like, we're not trying to just be like, you're wrong, there's nothing wrong with this. I do think it is not a cause for concern that your girlfriend masturbated without you. And I do not think, not that you exactly did, but I hope you don't feel like she cheated on you. And you said you felt like she cheated on you, but I hope we can gently move ourselves away from those feelings. Because masturbation is not always about sexual gratification. As I said, it sounds like you have roommates. So you can't just go fuck her in the shower unless like people are out of the house or, you know, so on and so forth, or you're really quiet, or, you know, certain concessions or qualifications have to be met to like do it with the roommates around or in the house or whatever. So that's another consideration. I really would not take it personally. I do think it may be worth having a conversation with her, like Gabby said, if you're not getting your needs met. I wouldn't talk to her about the masturbation because people just masturbate. I think we all just need to accept. People just be masturbating and it's fine. And it doesn't mean much, you know, unless somebody's like addicted to porn and, you know, masturbating so much they can't perform in bed. If that's not the issue, then she's just doing normal human behavior to relax, to relieve stress, to work up a little dopamine, you know, or to take care of an urge without having to make a whole production of it. I think we all have partners, and our partners will all always masturbate without us sometimes, right? Well, we don't all have partners, but like, I think this is a universal experience. Like, your partner's not always going to be the one you want to get you off. Sometimes you just want it to be you. And by the way, masturbating is entirely different than sex too. Like, when I masturbate, I'm thinking about different things. I'm doing slightly different things. Like, it's a whole different journey, you know?
What are you thinking about?
Don't
What's
worry
so
about it.
different?
Don't worry about it. You know what I'm thinking about.
Tell the listeners.
No, that's not y'all's business. I'm blushing. If y'all are watching on YouTube.
Oh my god, you are blushing.
Anyway, hope my parents aren't watching this. Y'all stop watching. Stop listening to the pod if you are. My parents just love Gabby's vlogs. Like, they always watch. Even if I'm like, well, maybe don't always tune in, because sometimes, you know, we get a little frisky or whatever. But anyway, but other than that, I don't think there's a conversation to be had. Like, she masturbated. Everybody masturbates. That's just fine. And it has nothing to do with you. And honestly, she was probably thinking about you anyway. You know?
Yeah, that's a good point. She probably was. Obviously, your circumstances in life have changed. You've just moved in together. That can be so stressful for people. People can react to that very, very differently. And her sex drive might just be low right now because of all the change in her life. It's a big thing to go through moving in with your partner. And especially, like Cam said, if you have got roommates, that's an even bigger thing to go through, just learning what everyone's schedules are. And then for some different people, me included, if you don't get quality time together, you're not really in the mood to have sex in general. So that might be an issue here. I do think it's worth talking to her about how to spice up your sex life, but don't mention the masturbation. I think that is a completely normal and healthy thing to do, and she shouldn't feel bad about doing that.
Yeah, I'm not worried at all about the masturbation, and I don't think you should be either. I can understand the sort of, well, you're doing that without me? I get it. Like, you're not crazy.
Especially if they haven't had sex in quite a while. I do understand as well how you could maybe take that a bit personally, but I really don't think it was a personal attack on you.
No, she's just living her life and doing normal human things. At the end of the day, guys, one thing I like to remind myself is that we are all just monkeys on a rock. That is literally all that's going on here. We're all just monkeys. And if she is doing monkey things, it's like if you would get upset with her for like farting or something. Like, sometimes the body just does what it needs to do, you know?
Tell that to yourself when I pop one out.
Oh, y'all. Gabby has French onion soup, and it is a symphony. It is just, the marching band has come to town.
Personally, I think it makes it exciting. An exciting evening when I've had French onion soup.
Well, it's like, because you're like bouncing off the bed. You're like about to jet off. Like, you might go through the ceiling. Those things are so loud. Anyway.
Also, it might be worth, if you've got a group of best friends, not telling them what happened with your relationship, but asking how they feel about their partner masturbating. Because I bet you will find that the majority of them will say that it's not a big deal and they don't mind.
And if they do mind, send them to us. Like, because I again, it's like, it's just a normal human thing to do. It's a normal human biological imperative to an extent. It's like, you're not going to get mad at her for going and peeing first thing when she wakes up. You know, it's just what you do. You got to go pee.
Sometimes you've just got to bash one out by yourself, have a little quickie in the shower, and that just is what it is.
Yeah, that's just part of life. So,
it's part of being a monkey.
Part of being, it's part of being a monkey merch. I feel like so much of what we talk about here is just part of being a monkey. That is such a good thing to say.
Thank you.
You're brilliant. You should have a podcast.
I've got one, baby.
Yeah, but best of luck to you. We're just wishing you all the best and wishing you good luck.
Precisely.
All right, moving on to the next question. I'm a college dropout, so basically I didn't pay for tuition fees in 2023, and in the meantime, I found a really nice job that kept me busy from April to the last day of September. But now comes the thing that is keeping me awake at night. In October, I'll be jobless again, and I was thinking that maybe I should finish my studies. I'm 5 exams away from graduating, but I don't like what I'm studying anymore, so that's why I dropped out. I don't know. I'm really unsure on what to do because my family is pressuring me on finishing my studies, and I'd like that too, but I don't enjoy studying that kind of thing anymore, so it would be really exhausting and stressing to focus myself on something I don't enjoy doing as much as I used to.
I can already tell that we're probably going to have different opinions on this. My gut feeling is don't go back to school. If you don't like it, if it's really going to stress you out that much, it's not worth it. It's really not. It seems like you managed to find a job that you enjoyed, even though it's coming to an end now. You did manage to get that job, so clearly there are employees out there who are happy to hire you. And if you really hate the subject that you're doing and it's gonna cause you stress to the point where like you're just really not enjoying your life, ditch it. I don't think you should put yourself through that. However, I do have to counteract that with, is there a subject that you would enjoy, that you could transfer onto doing? Is it possible to do that? I didn't go to university, so I am not sure how this works. And obviously it'll be different from UK to US, and we're not sure where you're from. But if there's a possibility that you could transfer courses, that might be worth looking into.
Yeah, it depends, right? So if they're interested in a subject that's like within the same school, at least where I went to school, you just needed a certain amount of core classes and then like a handful of like capstone classes that were specific to your major. And I actually ended up getting 2 majors in the end because my dad picked my first major and I was like, I guess I'll do that. But then I was like, I'm not going to get a job in this. So I picked up a second major, but I still finished the first major because I only had a couple classes left in it. And I thought, oh, well, let me get a double major. That's cool. But my gut is finish school. Now, there's some stipulations on that. If you had a really good plan of a new job that would be fulfilling and exciting to you and pay well or pay what you need, and that you could line that up or start at least researching that. Like if you have a lead on a career and a life that doesn't involve college, sure, follow that. Great. It sounds like you don't, and it sounds like you're not really sure what to do or what to do with your time right now. I will say if you can transfer to something you are more passionate about, even if it adds on like an extra semester or even extra year, that could be really worth it because having a degree in something you're interested in, gosh, is that great. But if not, I need to know, do you have to take on student loans to finish everything out? If it's paid for, like if your family's paying for it, if you're lucky like that, or if you have a way to pay for it outside of taking on debt, maybe do finish it. I think having a degree is really useful and it can be really good, and it's really great to have in your back pocket. If you are able to get one without taking on crazy amounts of debt or without driving yourself crazy, then I'm all for getting a degree, even if it's in a topic that you're not the most interested in anymore.
See, I kind of see that as a waste of time. If you're not going to use this topic or this subject or this degree to get a job in a position that requires that degree, why get it? I don't see the point. If you're not even going to use your degree, I don't see the point. I have so many friends who regret doing their degree at university, and they got pressured by their families and their schools to go to uni and pick certain subjects that they weren't necessarily enjoying, and all of them regret it. Every single one of them that I've spoken to has regrets and wishes they either pulled out and tried to get a job or switched courses. And I think that is worth noting. If you really, really don't enjoy it, my motto in life is if it's feasible to not do it, then don't.
I guess it's funny, this is like a difference in us. Like my family really valued college and university, y'all would call it.
But that's your family.
Yeah, but I'm part of my family. For me, I'm always glad I got my degree, even though it didn't end up giving me my dream job. Maybe I'm not better off for it, but I feel better off for it.
But do you feel better off because your family's happy that you got it?
No. I just like, it's something in my back pocket that I can fall back on.
But you would be in a job that you didn't like if you fell back on it, instead of moving to pursue something that you are interested in.
But I'd rather have a job I didn't like than no job at all.
I mean, that is a very, very valid point, especially in this economy.
Right. That's kind of what I'm thinking about. It's sort of like, gosh, it would be nice if we could all follow our dreams. And like, To an extent, yes, always follow your dreams. Like, always have that hobby that you're working on or that side hustle that you're working on. But sometimes you just need that 9 to 5 in something that you know and is reliable. I know I did for many years. And I was always scheming, like, how can I get out of this hellhole? So maybe don't go in the hellhole and throw everything at whatever your passion is. But it sounds like you don't know your passion. If you're not taking on crazy debt, it's never a bad thing to get a degree. If it doesn't drive you crazy. Now, what you've said is it might drive you crazy. And you're the only one who knows if you can really survive. I think 5 exams would be, in my world, would be 1 more semester. So like basically like 4 months, 4 more months of school. That might, I don't know, maybe it's a year. But it sounds like it would be uncomfortable, but I think it's okay to be uncomfortable for 4 months. If it gets you something as valuable as a degree.
I just feel so differently about this. And maybe that's just because I am so privileged. I did jump straight into YouTube. I didn't need a degree, and that is on me. That is like privilege to the max. But I do think it sounds like if you went back and got this degree, it would just be to appease your family. And I don't think that is ever a good reason to do something. You are your own person. And if you are really just hating this degree and you can get out of it and you can find a good job without it, or you can transfer, I say go for it and don't put yourself through more of what you don't like if you don't have to. And like I said, my motto in life is if it's possible to not do something you don't enjoy, don't do it.
That is really her motto in life. But I feel like sometimes we have to do hard things to bring ourselves to greater new heights.
But what is the new height here?
Fair enough. Listen, you've heard 2 sides of it. I think it's okay that we disagree sometimes. And I don't even know that I disagree. I'm just sort of like, what would you do if you didn't get the degree? Because maybe when they go to get the degree, they will network. One thing that was incredible for me is at my school, we had these crazy huge job fairs. I got so many job offers just because I was like finishing my degree and I could interview well. They might go to a job fair and get a job offer in a slightly different area, or maybe they will network with people. Just having that degree, it's like having a credit card. It's access, and it is privilege, and I should recognize my own privilege in being able to get a degree. And to those of you listening who don't have one, you don't need one to be amazing and wonderful and successful and have a very great, fulfilling, successful career in life. Let's say that. Let's hold some space to say that. But if your degree is paid for maybe by somebody else, and is there any avenue in it? Is there a field that's slightly adjacent to it that you could parlay that degree into a career in that you're interested in? Is there a minor you could pick up while you're finishing that major that doesn't make your heart sing that could pull you into a career? What angles can we work here? And if it's really just like, I hate it, I will never work in it, I will never work within, a mile of that field, okay, yeah, don't. Come back and let's brainstorm a job for you for October. Team project, class project on what are we going to do for you. But I think it's okay sometimes to do things we really don't like for a finite period of time to reach a new place in life. So is there any better place in life that this degree could lift you up to? If it's really not, then no, don't waste your time.
Well, 2 very different opinions with that one. I love it when we kind of disagree on a topic.
Yeah, well, we can't miss. Like, whatever they do, they're taking our advice.
Exactly. Moving on, I'm probably on the younger end of your demographic, so I'm definitely coming from a wanting advice from my older sister perspective. But I'm 18, going into my final year of school this year and planning for university next year. But I really don't know how to deal with the change. Just the thought of moving away, having to be independent and grown up makes me cry. I'm an only child, living with my mum and my grandparents, who are seriously everything to me. I'm a pretty emotional person, so is my mum, and so her sadness about me going away and moving on is definitely rubbing off on me too, because I really am her whole life. I also worry that something could happen to my grandparents while I'm away, or I'll regret not spending much time with them. I truly am eager to leave my small town, meet new people and experience new things, but it's just all so scary. Do you guys have any advice for dealing with change in general and letting time do its thing? I just want so much more from life, and the next few years especially, than feeling depressed or grieving over the simpler past. Thanks so much. Love you both. Cam, I know you moved away for university. How did that make you feel? Because you're very close to your family.
Yeah, so I resonated with this question because, like Gabby just said, I moved away for university and it was really hard. So not only did I move away for university, but I moved away from the only house I had ever lived in. I hung out with the same people, did the same things, lived in the same town, lived in the same house, and then headed off a couple hours away to university. And it was really hard. I was not ready for the change. And the first 6 months of college for me were awful. I cried a lot. I went home constantly. But then in the second semester, I started to make some friends. And I'm still friends with some of these people to this day, and making new friends really helped. So I want to say, first of all, listener, make sure when you get to school, you give it a fair shake, and there'll be people in your dorm, there'll be people in your classes, maybe join some clubs or a volunteer cause and make some friends. Because for me, that was a big part of like, no, I'm going to be okay. Like being away from home is tough and getting used to school is tough. But once I made those friends, I really felt a lot more like I belonged, and I felt like I had found my sort of chosen family at college, and that can be really helpful with dealing with some of those homesick feelings in that first period of college. What do you think, Gabby?
Well, my question for you is, do you regret moving away?
No, not at all. I had to do it. And,
Yeah.
you know, school was great, and I got a degree that I'm really proud of, and it shaped my life and helped me become the person I am today. So the other thing I would say is like, life is about compromise. So for example, not to compare like your grandparents or anything to Gabby's cat, but she does hold her cat very dearly. Gabby has had to leave Nellie and Jane and her family and her home and her friends to come on these adventures with me and to come spend time in America. But do you really regret it? Even though it's complicated and you miss Nellie, at the end of the day, aren't you glad you're doing this?
Yeah, it's a tricky one. And actually, the situation that I'm in right now is the only way that I can relate to you, because I never actually went to university. So I never had to deal with those feelings at that specific time when it comes to like starting new classes as well as moving away. I have no regrets at all. While it is so difficult to leave my family and leave Nellie, I just know that I'm building such a lovely life for myself. And if I didn't come to America, we would have a lot less chance of being together. And you mean so much to me that I want to come and spend time with you. Obviously, your situation is a little different because you're not leaving your hometown to go and be with hopefully the love of your life. You are leaving it to go and study, which in itself is so exciting.
Here's a little maybe wisdom. My first therapist that I ever had, that I had at college, by the way, she had a sign on her door that said, "Change is good." And I just never really got it, because one of my biggest issues in college was not liking the change. And I was like, change is the root of all my problems. But life has changed. Every day you change. Every day your family gets older. We talked about grief a lot on the last episode, and losing people and death and loss is a part of life. And it's never going to be easy, but some degree of acceptance, I think, can be really healing. And I think if you sort of face this and say, change is coming my way and change is hard, but change is good. Because so much can happen at college. First of all, Gabby said, well, I'm doing this to be with the love of my life, so that's a little different. The thing is, how many people meet their spouse or partner and love of their life at college?
So many. I know personally so many people who are still with the person that they met at college.
Yeah, my ex-girlfriend is still with the girl she cheated on me with in college.
Love that for her. Well, at least the cheating wasn't in vain.
Yeah, they're still together, so like, shout out to them, I guess. But jokes aside, like, you will meet people that would change your life. You will do things that will change your life and change who you are as a person in a good way. You will grow, you will learn, you will build the skills to have a career. And so life is about compromise. Life is about trade-offs. We've talked in another episode about like, I like to go hiking, but it can be really dangerous. If you go backpacking overnight, there's bears, there's strange men, there's trees that fall on you and kill you, potentially. But at the end of the day, the adventure is worth it. And it's sort of like you pay that price. You make that sort of deal with yourself. I do want you to be able to go through these next few years of college without feeling overwhelmingly depressed. And I think there may be a conversation that you need to have with your mom about boundaries and about supporting you. Because at the end of the day, for most people, not all people, but most people, getting a college degree is a really good opportunity and a really good thing to do, depending on the circumstances. But in general, rule of thumb, I would say get a college degree if you can and if it's right for you. But your mom needs to be supportive of that. Your mom needs to be supportive of your personal goal to get a college degree. And there may be a conversation you need to have where like, okay, we're going to have a few big cries. We're going to have a big cry when you move me into the dorm. And then I know you're going to be feeling bad and you're going to take that to your therapist. And you're going to take that to your journal and you are not going to make that my problem. And maybe like once a month we get on the phone and we have a big cry about how much we miss each other. And then you're going to go back to taking it to your therapist. Like, is there sort of a middle ground? Because I get it. Like, I understand that parents can be sort of clingy and maybe that's not even the right word because, of course, they love you a lot and they don't want you to leave. But I just think there has to be an outlet for your mom that isn't constantly bringing you down, right?
Yeah, that's if she is. I mean, you said that she is very upset about you leaving, but hopefully she's on your side as well and she knows how much of a positive impact this will have on your life. While Cam said, why don't you have a big cry to your mum on FaceTime once a month? I think something that would make this whole process so much easier, if you want to and if you feel comfortable with it, is FaceTime your mum every day. That's something that I did when I was in quite a low place when I lived in London. I FaceTimed my mum every day and it helped me feel closer to her while she was so far away and closer to home. It gave me something to look forward to in the day because I knew that I was going to talk to my mum and hear her laugh and tell some jokes and catch up and gossip. And that was just a nice little routine that we got into. So I think both you and your mum would find it a lot easier if you do have that in your routine, either every day or every other day, just to catch up and let her see that you are having a good time, which hopefully you will be.
Yeah, to clarify, I didn't mean you should only FaceTime her once a month. I just meant there should be time set aside to like deal with the, like face down the depression. Your mom may be having like depressing emotions every day, but you shouldn't have to deal with those every day. So setting a boundary with her, giving her like an outlet, like, okay, it's the last day of the month. Let's talk about how depressed we are. But every other day, yeah, I think you should FaceTime her, but just keep it light, keep it fun. Like you said, jokes, gossip, catch up on what's going on at home, talk to your grandparents too. There's nothing stopping you from communicating with your family members every single day. And I do think that's a good idea if that feels comfortable to all parties. Like, nothing wrong with making a phone call. We're living in 2023. Are you kidding me? Like, the whole world's just sitting in these little boxes. So use them for sure. But keep the depressing talk to a minimum. Because I agree, you don't need to be dragged down by that.
I thought you were putting her mum on a phone call ration. You were just like once a month and that is it.
Yeah, no, just once a month to like, I miss you so much, you know, all that good stuff. Like, just do that like once a month. But can I ask, I wanted to ask you, you love change. Why? Like, what is it about change that you love so much? Because maybe the listener can tap into, like, what do you like about change and how is it so tolerable for you?
That is a really good question that I've never actually sat and thought about. And there's probably some therapy that I need when it comes to my love of change, because I could truly ditch all of my belongings, everything, and start afresh at the drop of a hat, and it would be so easy for me. So maybe I'm on the exact like opposite of the spectrum, and I need to figure out why that is the case. But I just think change can be so exciting. You don't know what is going to happen in your life when you sign up to do something new. And I think oftentimes a lot of the best things in your life, a lot of the most incredible memories and the most growth comes from doing something difficult. Change is difficult. To end this little conversation, just know that change is so positive from someone who loves it and from someone who doesn't love it so much. It can be such a positive thing. It can help you grow in ways that staying in one place can't. And I think that this will be such a positive move for you and hopefully a positive step for your family as well. Maybe it'll give your mum some time to find some hobbies for herself and she'll figure out a way to focus on herself a little bit more and bring some more happiness to her life that doesn't involve you. And that's a positive thing as well. And honestly, I think you're going to have such an incredible time. But if you don't, you can move back home. That is an option. And it's a completely valid option and nothing to be ashamed of. If you don't like it, if you find that you are just too out of your comfort zone, you can move back and your family will welcome you with open arms.
Yeah, that's another important thing to remember. You always have like a parachute. You know, you can always just pull that ripcord and give it a year or two. And if it's not what you hoped it would be or the distance from your family is too much, you can just head on right back home. So I just like the idea of set up a routine so you miss your family as little as possible. set up some boundaries. So maybe the depressing convos are like to a minimum, and then they won't drag you down so much. And get off to school and start having some adventures. Make some new friends, join a new club, do well in your classes. I don't think you're going to regret going to school. I think you yourself say you're so excited to leave your small town. I'm excited for you. I think it's going to be an incredible experience. But at the end of the day, remember, you've got that parachute. You can leave if you need to. You can always go back home. But we're wishing you the best of luck. And, we're here for you too. And if you ever feel lonely at school, just throw on stay-at-home girlfriends. Take a little walk. Listen to your gay big sisters. Everything's gonna be okay. I've been in a straight relationship with a guy for more than 2 years now. Soon after we got together, I found out that he was drinking a lot of alcohol by himself very often. I soon had a talk with him to say that it wasn't going to work for me, and I didn't want to be babysitting him every weekend when he had a hangover. I don't drink a lot personally, so I find it hard to understand his situation. I've been super supportive, and he admitted to having an issue, and he has cut down a lot. However, he continues to have like 6 pints by himself in front of the TV twice a week, and sometimes more. I have been patient, but I really hate when he does it, as he snores and it prevents me from sleeping properly. As a result, since moving in together a year ago, I've been lacking sleep and I feel tired all the time. He sometimes sleeps on the sofa, but obviously we both don't want that to happen all the time. I feel lost as I don't know how to help him anymore or what to do, and if that means we shouldn't be together. Please tell me what you think.
A very, very tricky situation because we don't know what is causing the drinking for him. Is he drinking because he just likes it? He likes the taste, he likes how it makes him feel? Or is he drinking to get through tough situations in his brain that need addressing by a therapist? That's something that only he knows. But I think it might be worth having that conversation with him. Not just saying like, look, I don't appreciate when you drink, but actually just asking him, why do you drink so much? And see if he's comfortable indulging that information with you. Because if it's impacting your relationship this much, it does concern me that it could become worse in the future.
Yeah, so this is really hard. It sounds like he's an alcoholic, and alcoholism is a disease, as is all addiction. And he needs help for this. This doesn't mean you need to demonize him, and you're not. And we're not going to demonize him either, because it's not his fault he has this disease. A lot of it's rooted in genetics. Addiction has touched the life of my family too. So I feel you. But at the end of the day, you are supposed to be his partner, not his medical professional, which is what he needs. He needs professional help. I'm glad that he's cut down, but he hasn't cut down enough so that it's not having a negative effect on you or him. It's not just that he drinks a bit too much and he's kind of useless and then he snores and keeps you up, and that's not great. That all sucks, but he's doing real damage to his body. So first of all, he needs to get checked out by a doctor. Maybe he already has been, and maybe it hasn't set in yet if he's kind of young, but his liver, his kidneys, he needs a full checkup if this has been a serious issue for a while. So let's talk about how you're not his medical professional. You signed up to be his partner, not his doctor or his nanny or his caretaker. And addiction is brutal, and it ruins relationships, and it tears families apart. But if he's not interested in getting help in fully stopping drinking, because that is... I've heard people say, I learned to drink in moderation, and maybe there's a way forward for him there. But I think in general, abstinence for like chemical addictions, like substance, like so alcohol and drugs, is the best way to go. I think that's just what the data backs up. Maybe there's sort of a mindful drinking process he can get into. He might Google mindful drinking. That is helpful to some people, but I think if he's an alcoholic, he probably needs to be researching abstinence and to get in recovery if he wants to keep you in his life. It sounds like you're displeased with your relationship. It sounds like this is having a negative effect on you. And while we're not going to demonize him, we're also not going to assign you to be his nanny and doctor and caretaker. He should be your partner first and foremost. So while this is a really delicate situation, and I'm all for giving him some more chances because he's suffering from a disease, I'm all for saying, we've got to get you help, and giving it another month or two to try and just see if you can coax him into a recovery program. At some point, something's got to give. You deserve to live a life with a partner that is fully capable of meeting your needs as much as you are of theirs. It's hard Like, I'm not saying dump him tomorrow. It doesn't sound like he's abusive or that he's doing this every day. So I'm all for giving him a few chances to, like, make a commitment to recovery. But he has a disease and it needs to be treated. And he needs to take the disease seriously. If he takes some steps towards that, so first of all, obviously Alcoholics Anonymous is a free place to start. They sort of tie religion into it, which...
I didn't know that.
Yeah. You have to have a higher power. But the higher power can just be bears. Alcoholics Anonymous can be a great place to start. It is free. There's also a program, and it's going to sound funny when I say this because I was like, they tie religion into it, and that's not the best thing. But through Buddhism, Refuge Recovery has some really good results, and I believe is a free program as well. And they have a book, and might be something worth looking into, or inpatient treatment, or outpatient treatment from a psychologist or therapist, or a medical program. Sounds like you're in England. I don't know what the NHS has to offer, but hopefully some resources.
I think it's worth giving that a Google and seeing what your options are wherever you come from. If you are in the UK, there should be a help program through the NHS or even just a local help program in your area. See what's available out there for you. But I do just want to say, you deserve to be happy. You, like Cam said, are not in his life to be his doctor, to be his medical professional. You're his partner. And if he's not giving you everything that you need from a relationship, it is more than okay for you to step away and to put your mental health and your happiness first. I think it is obviously worthwhile if you see a future with him without his drinking to take it to him and be like, look, you really need help. I want to be with you. I want to try and help you. But if you don't want to help yourself, I think it might be worth it to take a step back. You don't deserve to be losing sleep, to be tired all the time, and to not have a fulfilling relationship because of this. And even though it is such a huge struggle to go through, you're not responsible for his well-being in that way. You are there to be his partner, and it's a really tricky situation. But if you find that he's not wanting to help himself, then I do think it's worth having a big thinking session with yourself and seeing what you see for your future moving forward as well. You've got to think about yourself too.
At the end of the day, I'm of the belief that we should all be on our own team first and foremost. What do we talk about? Put the oxygen mask on yourself first before you put it on the person next to you when the plane is going down. So you need to make sure you're getting your oxygen, and it sounds like he's taking some away from you, and that's okay. Like, somebody we love can mess up and struggle with addiction, and it doesn't mean we have to instantly leave them. But you sort of made it sound like in your question, like, you hope it could work out, but maybe if he doesn't stop the drinking, you're considering leaving him. Yeah, if he doesn't stop the drinking and he continues to abuse alcohol, it is okay to leave someone. And hopefully he has a support network and you would do it gently, and hopefully he could lean on his family, and maybe it would be the wake-up call he needs to get help. And like I said, I'm all for giving him some more chances on this, to start talking about, okay, so you have a disease and we need to get you treated for it, and I'm here to support you through that process, but what are we going to do? Are you interested in Alcoholics Anonymous? Are you interested in working with a doctor or a psychologist? Are you interested in Refuge Recovery? Any of it, any of these programs? If he says, you're right, yes, I'm going to get help, okay, you guys are in it for the fight, and that's great, and I think it's great if you can support him through that. If he says, I don't have a problem, you know, and it sounds like he's already admitted to having a problem to an extent, but if he says, I'm not interested in changing, okay, that doesn't make him evil. That doesn't make him a horrible person. That means he's got a really tough disease and he's got a tough life ahead of him dealing with that disease, but it's not your job to treat him for that disease. And you actually can't. You can support him in finding treatment. You can support him on his journey, but you can't cure him. And I hope you don't put that on yourself. And our hearts are just going out to you. This is such a tricky situation. Maybe some other listeners have, you know, feedback. I think we're going to start sharing listener feedback in some other outlet because we get great comments on all our episodes. But put yourself first and hold him close in your heart, and hopefully he will choose recovery and choose health and life and getting better. And maybe he won't choose it now, but maybe someday he will choose it. And that's what I'm hoping for him. But it's tough, but put your oxygen mask on first, always.
Absolutely. Well, thank you guys so much for your questions this episode. I feel like it got quite deep. We'll maybe try and make the next one a little bit more light-hearted, but some very important topics were covered. Hopefully our advice helps you guys out even a little bit.
Or at least makes you feel a little less alone in the world.
Aw, you're a little cutie.
Well, that's sometimes kind of the point of podcasts, isn't it? Just have a friend in your ear.
Yeah, that's why I love podcasts.
Yeah.
But anyways, remember you can follow us on social media if you would like to at Stay at Home Girlfriends Pod on Instagram and at Stay at Home Girlfriends on TikTok. We post a lot of content constantly. And you can also watch the podcast visually if you would prefer to do that at Stay at Home Girlfriends on YouTube. Do you have anything left to say, Cam?
We just posted a new vlog last week on the Patreon. Lots of fun bonus content coming towards you guys. Make sure and check out the Patreon if you're interested in bonus cabbie content. But other than that, with all that said, everybody please remember you yourself, as much as anybody in the entire universe, is worthy of your own love and compassion.
And in the wise words of Taylor Swift, never take advice from someone who's falling apart. Bye, everyone.